Today, I want to talk to you about something that's been on my mind. I recently saw a series of stories started by a popular blogger called Xiaxue. Some of these stories really got me thinking, and they were about how she believes that only 2% of the population is actually beautiful physically. Real talk. We all know that we have this little part of our brain that judges beauty. No matter what we want it to do or not do, it will do it regardless. This little voice, I'm going to call it Yappy because it's like a yappy. It's inside your mind, and even when you want it to shut it off, it won't stop. And it knows. It knows. It looks at this person and it knows if you think that person is beautiful or not. It's not something that we choose. I just think it's something that everyone has the capability to do that. Because of this judgment of beauty, oh my god, like we know who's beautiful. We're also afraid of not being beautiful, or sometimes we feel ugly, and that, I'm sorry for a moment. We might feel ugly, and it might just really make us feel miserable. It'd be pretty dangerous if someone could hear my inner thoughts all the time, because sometimes my inner thoughts are just pure evil, and there's this little part of you knows what makes a person, or what makes that person look really attractive or unattractive. And for a long time I've been trying to deny that. It's like, oh, that doesn't exist, everyone's beautiful, but at the end of the day it just exists, and I think it's no use trying to lie to ourselves that that's not true, because it is true. No matter how much we don't want to do that, it's just something we're born with, for the sake of breeding with the most high-grade DNA to continue our line, something like that. These people are idolized on TV shows, on magazines and everything. You'll see the magazine cover, you'll see an ad, and you'll see beautiful people. We can even pinpoint the exact features that make a person beautiful. Like, for example, a specific weight range, or clear, flawless skin, or white teeth that's completely straight. Not exactly me. I'm not exactly fitted into that category. I would never be able to do a dentistry ad, unfortunately. Rosy red lips. Have you ever seen a show where someone is like going to die and they have like pale white lips? Pretty certain that like a huge part of what makes a person beautiful is also an indicator of like how healthy they are, and of course there's a lot of things that's not in our control. For example, there's like the long eyelashes is definitely a sign of beauty, because this whole fake lashes trying to enhance our natural lashes to make them longer. And then there's the big eyes, and that's why like a lot of people have like surgery in the eyes, and of course nose. I actually don't know what makes certain noses more attractive. I actually don't know, like I can't put a word on it, but it's like my mind knows. White teeth, that's why we have 500 different teeth whitening toothpaste that never seem to work. At least for me. You've probably had a moment where you walked onto the train and there's this dang hot beauty walking towards you, and you either look at her in utter awe, like, oh my god, wow, or in sheer jealousy, thinking like, oh, why can't I have a feature even half like that? Like, have you ever done that? I know I have. Like, sometimes it's like on a train I will just like look at someone's beauty and you go like, wow. And the sad thing is, it's not something I want to focus on. It's not something that I want to think. Of course there's a lot of things that has to do with health that also comes to play with like how we view a person being attractive or unattractive. For example, acne is definitely one of the things that make us feel less confident, because we look at it and we feel like, that we just know that there's something wrong. And same with certain weight, like certain weight ranges. I know that can be an indicator of health, like too skinny, too overweight, things like that. And guess what? One thing that we often forget is physical beauty isn't the only thing that we take into account when we're deciding on whether we like this person or not. And at the end of the day, aren't we just wanting to be liked? Aren't we just wanting to be accepted and liked? Because not being liked or being rejected is painful. It's physically painful. We're born to survive, and being rejected isn't exactly like good for survival. So of course, anything like if someone calls us ugly, someone calls us like unattractive, we're gonna feel really hurt because of that. This video is really about trying to help all of us, including myself, because you know, it's like I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, I have this all figured out. I don't, you know, it's like I'm struggling too, and just trying to make sense of this and just help all of you, including myself, feel more accepted no matter what we feel we are, whether we see ourselves or other people as attractive or not attractive. At the end of the day, it shouldn't matter as much as we emphasize that it does. You know what I mean? It shouldn't matter if we've got the perfect teeth or we've got the perfect flawless skin. There's so many things that we also look at when we're seeing whether we want to, you know, we like this person or not. For example, the way they smile, or the way they make us feel, like the way they crack a joke. And that's where I believe the whole inner beauty happens. If someone is really, really kind and you just see them more beautiful. One of the best examples I can give is a TV show, because I've seen a lot of like TV shows where there's beautiful people who are like flawless. Every part of their face looks flawless, but they are an evil character. And we look at them and we dislike them because they're doing things that hurt people, and we just don't like that. There might be characters that we look at and they may have features that we don't feel is the most attractive. I'm not going to say what they are. Maybe they just deemed as not as attractive by Yappy and you look at them, but they're such a good person and you find them more and more beautiful. Their beauty just grows on you. Our perception of beauty is always changing, and it's subjective. Like, for example, someone might say to me, like, this person looks really ugly. And I would look at them and go, what the fuck are you talking about? They're beautiful. And there are certain features that might remind me of a really nasty person in my life, and I might just see that and be repulsed by it, whereas other people love it because they haven't had the same experiences. So it's like everyone sees beauty differently. It's just like, have you ever hated a name because it reminds you of this bitch in high school that had the same name that was just really mean to you? I felt ugly for the majority of my life, and because I had features that resemble my biological father, who was very abusive, I saw like my nose as something that is the most ugly thing ever, and especially in certain angles it will remind me of him, and it'll just make me feel so ugly. Whereas like there are many people in my life who has told me that I was beautiful and I couldn't see it. I just couldn't see it. I couldn't understand it. It's like our mind wants to make the easiest connection. Hey, this feature equals ugliness because this person's mean, so we kind of just do it without even realizing or wanting ourselves to do it. And unfortunately the mind isn't exactly fully functional sometimes. It needs a bit of more work. So that's why we have scientists, to enhance things, to make our minds better. At the end of the day, people might find you beautiful or not beautiful for all kinds of reasons, and it's not in your control what other people think. And you know what? If that means to enhance your features by operations, by permanent tattoo, whatever it is, you should go for it. I mean, I don't believe that there should be any shame in whatever you do, as long as it's like it's not going to ruin or damage your body. It's, you know, and it makes you happy. It's like there should be no shame. I don't believe in this whole plastic surgery means you're fake. I don't believe in that. I think that you should do whatever that makes you happy. You know, if plastic surgery will make you feel more confident, go for it. I don't believe that's a indicator of anything that you should feel ashamed about. Same with makeup. I mean, I know a lot of people, it's like makeup is such a debatable thing. Like, oh, if you put on makeup, you must not be confident. But honestly, sometimes makeup is just an expression of art, just like painting and things like that. It's fun. So you should do whatever makes you happy. You know, whatever you feel that makes you feel more confident is what you should go for. Sometimes we think so much about what other people think. What they think is not going to actually do any physical harm in your life. Sometimes I think the best thing is not to even bother reading or listening to someone who wants to say nasty things. If your end goal is to feel valued and feel important and feel accepted, physical beauty is not everything, and it's only a small part of the whole picture. Because if you think about it, I just want you to take a moment and think about it. Who's a person that you would do anything for, you would die for, that you love, that has changed your life in some ways? Think about that person that you would do anything for. And think about it. Was it purely because they're hot and sexy and beautiful? I know for me, there are people who I really, really, really look up to and I love, and it's not because they're really beautiful. It's because that they've done something for me that changed my life. They've shown me something that I have never been shown. They've been kind to me in a way that maybe I haven't ever felt from other people. So those are the people that I care about so much, and I see them as heroes. I see them as everything, and I love them to death. I would do anything for these people. I think in some level, we as people, even though we do judge beauty, physical beauty, we are also aware of the fact that beauty isn't everything. Physical beauty isn't everything, except for if you want to be an actor, it probably is everything. But beauty isn't everything when it comes to, you know, making friends or finding a mate. Because at the end of the day, beauty is just superficial. That's why I just encourage all of you to try not to think so much about beauty, and just like, even if you can't do it, I know it's hard, because if you feel ugly, it's going to be like equivalent to not feeling confident. And that's why I say, like, I think it's so important to just get used to how you look. Look at yourself in the mirror a lot, or just practice talking in a certain way or making jokes or something, so that you can see how you look. You know, you never know how infectious your smile is if you haven't seen it. That's why, like, sometimes I remember when I used to watch my first videos, I would be so cringing. It's like, oh my god, how could I be sounding this way? Or if I hear my own voice recorded, I would just cringe. It's like, oh. And now I don't feel that way anymore. I can hear it and I'm just like, yeah, that's me, you know? So I think maybe that's something that you could try too. Just get to know how you look, how you sound. It might give you a better idea. Beauty is just, physical beauty is just that. And I feel like many people are aware of that. So they're not going to be just purely judging beauty on its own when it comes to a person. If they do, they probably missed out a lot. Beauty in the perfection sense is just not an attainable goal. If I were to pick out problems with my own face, I could find multiple, you know, but it doesn't really matter at the end. I don't believe it matters at the end. And flaws doesn't have to be a negative thing. It's just human flaws or imperfections or whatever, like features. Let's just not even call it flaws or imperfections, but just features about ourselves. Does it really matter if it's like perfect? It's just all about finding the balance so that you don't spend your days feeling so bad about yourself, that you can like give your qualities and your value to the world without feeling like you're such a failure, because that's something I never want anyone to feel. I want you all to feel like you can do anything, and beauty shouldn't even matter. We should just like toss inside and say, who cares? Even if I don't feel that way, I will still encourage all of you to feel that way. And I want to encourage myself to feel that way, because honestly, we're all humans. So it's going to be hard to not feel judged when someone like calls us ugly or something like that. I want to encourage all of you and myself to accept that, hey, it's like, own our bodies, own our face. Like we don't have to be perfect. Of course, if we want to strive for perfection, we should go for it. But at the same time, when we're not able to do anything at this moment, let's just do the best we can and what we can, and just keep being awesome. You have what it takes to bring so much positive and goodness in the world. I do believe that, and I just want you to see that. Like, you don't have to have the perfect face to be able to do that. You can have a face full of pimples and you can still make people smile and people will still love you. Pimples, of course, we want to try to fix that, but let's say if we're in the middle of trying different things, it's just so important to remember physical beauty isn't everything, and think about the people that you truly love and care about, and think about the reasons why, and that just gives you a really good perspective to how other people feel. For those people who often get called ugly, I feel like there's usually a deeper reason beside that they're just ugly. There's a video of someone and maybe the person is overweight, and based on what the person does, they're either loved or hated. I remember like there was this like video of this two girls who were overweight, and they were like really nasty and mean, and they were like literally like swearing at each other or hitting each other's head and things like that. They were just acting really mean, and when you look at the comments, people were saying so many nasty things about them. But I've also seen people who are the same weight make a really inspirational speech and people love them. So as we get to know someone, I feel like we view them differently from when we don't know them yet. For example, have you ever like saw someone from a distance and felt a certain way about them, but when you get to know them, you felt completely different? And I think that's what I believe how people see us. Like when they first meet us, they're unsure and they just don't know what to think. But based on how we interact, how I interact with that person, they develop certain feeling. They might like me more, they may not like me more because of how I acted. For example, there were like moments when I was at school, I was always the person feeling left out because I just wasn't a social person. I don't like talking to people I don't know. It's not really their fault, it's just me. I mean, like often that they'd be talking about things that I didn't even understand, so I would often just feel a bit of jealousy inside me. I wouldn't be the type to go up to them and go, hey, like let's chat. I would just be like a bit distant, and I always found that they felt the same way about me. While I'm thinking that they hate me, they probably think I hated them. So it's a two-way thing, you know. It's really about how we feel about someone. Your value and your worth, it is not something that can be taken away. Beauty or physical beauty cannot take away your worth and your value. And please just remember that. Even if you have to like tell yourself, trick your mind into it every day, do it, because sometimes repetition is the key of learning new things, you know. We can't really accept something as like the reality if we don't repeat it. So I'd be a hypocrite if I said that I already felt like I was like above it all, you know what I mean? Like I'm also dealing with these feelings too, and if someone calls me ugly, I would probably feel the same way as anyone else would, you know. I just want to encourage all of you to go out there and be awesome, be yourself. Just remember that your smile, just your smile alone, let's not worry about what lip shape you have or what color lips or whatever, let's just talk about your smile. I bet that your smile is so infectious, it can make many people happy. Let's just leave it at that. So anyway, let me know what you think about beauty, physical beauty, like inner beauty and things like that. I'm really curious, and thank you so much for watching. I always say that at the end.